Welcome back to another one of my videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to show you how to make these chocolate raspberry cream puffs that are perfect for Valentine's Day. Now, last year for Valentine's Day, I also made a heart-shaped cookie cake, so if you're interested in watching that video, it's going to be linked up there as well. But without further ado, let's get right into today's recipe. Now the first thing we need to make is our choux pastry so we can get that baked and cooled off. Now I've previously already made profiteroles on my channel, so if you want to see that, it's going to be linked up there. So the recipe is essentially the same except that we're adding cocoa powder. So for our choux, we're going to need 250 milliliters of water, 60 grams of butter, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a good pinch of salt, 200 grams of flour, 30 grams of cocoa powder, and 3 to 5 eggs. We'll probably use 4 eggs, but again, depending on the size of your eggs, you might need to add like an additional yolk or a little bit less. So between 3 to 5 eggs, whichever ends up getting you the consistency that you need. Now we're gonna set our eggs aside for now because we're not gonna need them until the very end. Now in the meantime, we can already go ahead and add our sugar, salt, butter, and water into a pot. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil on medium heat or so. And we can also go ahead and already sieve together our 2 dry ingredients just to make sure that the cocoa powder and the flour combines a little bit together, and it'll also make it a little bit more fluffy. So then we ideally have no clumps when we go to add this to our boiling butter water mixture. Now that our butter sugar mixture has boiled for about a minute, we're going to go ahead and add our flour cocoa powder mixture. And we're basically just going to mix everything together until we get a nice dough ball. And you're gonna wanna mix it for about 2 to 5 minutes or so until it really nicely comes together and you've kind of burned off some of that flour. Now you are going to get a bit of a layer at the bottom of your pan, and that's totally okay. Just keep moving it around consistently because you don't want your dough to burn while it's on the stove. Now I just quickly transferred my dough out of my pot just to make sure that it doesn't burn to the bottom of it. Now at this point we need to let our dough cool off before we add our eggs to make sure that we don't have a scrambled egg dough, which is obviously not what you want. Now you can either just let it cool off on the counter until it's just slightly warm, or you can whip it cold. So that basically just means you're going to pop it into your stand mixer, turn on your stand mixer, and then as it mixes, it's going to cool off a little bit faster because it's mixing in the cold air. But again, if you're patient, you can just let it cool off like this. Maybe mix it around every now and then because the center is obviously going to be a lot warmer than the outside part, or use your stand mixer to save a little bit of time. Now it's been about 10 minutes or so and our dough has definitely cooled off, so we're not going to make a hot scrambly egg mess. So at this point we're going to go ahead and add our eggs 1 egg at a time. You're definitely going to need 3 eggs, but you might not need a 4th or a 5th. You basically just want your dough to be a little bit shiny. You want it to be slightly spreadable. You basically just want to make sure that you're going to be able to pipe it. but you don't want it to be too thin because else it's going to run out and it's not going to puff up as nicely. Alrighty, let's add our first egg. Yay! Now I also recommend scraping down the sides just to make sure that everything is being incorporated. Alrighty, now I ended up adding a total of 5 eggs to get me the consistency that I want. So as you can tell, it's still a little bit thick, but it's definitely a lot more spreadable. It has a little bit of a shine to it from all of our eggs. So this is perfect. Now at this point, we can get to the fun piping part. So I'm just going to be using a plain round tip, but you can also go ahead and use a different tip to get a different design. But I want my hearts to be a little bit more basic, so I'm just going to use my super basic round tip. Now I also recommend not overfilling your piping bag and just going max halfway, just because it is a bit of a thicker dough, and that way if there's a little bit less in it, it's going to be a little bit easier to handle and it's not going to squeeze out the top. Now the tedious part is the actual piping, but once you get into the flow and the rhythm, you can get your trays done quite quickly. Now once again, you can pipe on any design that you want. Because it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to do a couple of hearts and maybe I'll do one tray of just normal circles to make just plain profiteroles as well. But yeah, let's get right into it. Now to make sure that they look super nice and gorgeous and that they hold their beautiful shape and they don't puff up all weird, we're going to use a little bit of water to help smooth down the tips. And the same with our hearts, just to make those lines a little bit smoother, and then it should keep its shape as much as possible. Now our cream puffs can wander into the oven that's been preheated to 200 degrees Celsius or 392 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're going to bake for about 20 minutes. Now whatever you do, do not open the oven door to check your cream puffs while they are baking. Just use the light in your oven or trust your gut, because if you introduce the cold air into the hot oven, it can make your cream puffs deflate, which is obviously not what you want. So don't open the oven door. Okay. Now to make our raspberry whipped cream, we're going to start by thickening up some raspberries. So to do that, I'm going to be using 200 grams of frozen and thawed raspberries, a good splash of vanilla extract for flavor, and 20 grams of sugar. Now since my raspberries are already thawed, I'm just going to go ahead and puree them and sieve them to make sure that any of the seeds kind of get removed. That way the filling's just going to be a little bit nicer and you're not going to be stuck with all the little seeds in it. Again, if you don't mind having the seeds in it, you can skip this entire step and throw all of this straight into your pot. Now to our raspberry mixture, we're going to add our vanilla and our sugar. And then all we're going to do is heat this up on medium heat or so until we get a nice little simmer going. And then we're basically just going to let it reduce for about 5 to 10 minutes until we're left with a nice, thick raspberry filling. Now before we can finish our filling, we gotta make sure that our raspberries cool off before we whisk it up with our whipped cream. Our raspberry mixture has pretty much cooled off. So at this point, we're basically just going to whisk this up with 400 milliliters of heavy whipping cream. Now I'm also going to be using 1 package of whipped cream stabilizer. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. I just wanna add it in just to make sure that my whipped cream stays nice and thick. And yeah. So use it if you have it. If you don't have it, it's totally okay. Now at this point, I also recommend giving your filling a quick taste just to see if you want to add any more sugar or vanilla or really anything else. Now I find that mine is a little bit too sour from the cherry, so I'm just gonna add another teaspoon or so of sugar just to sweeten it up just a little bit. Much better. Once you're happy with your filling, you can go ahead and put it into your piping bag. Now I'm using a piping tip that has this really long nozzle, and that's just going to make filling our cream horns a little bit easier because we can just gently push this into the bottom of our cream horn and then fill it that way. Now when you're filling your cream puffs, you basically just want to find a nice little spot on the back to put your nozzle in. And then as you fill, you're going to feel a little bit of resistance once your cream puff is full. And that's when you stop putting in your filling, else it might explode out of all the little edges here, which is not what you want. But you also want to make sure that you're not putting too little filling in because you do want them to be quite nice and full. So again, kind of squeeze in the filling until you start feeling a little bit of a pushback on your piping bag. That's when you know that they're pretty much full.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice. With time, you I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. Let this sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. Good to show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do.
Now, as you could probably tell, the hearts were definitely a lot trickier to fill than our regular cream puffs. But now that they're all filled, I'm just going to let these chill while I get my chocolate glaze ready. Now for my chocolate topping, I'm actually going to be making a chocolate ganache. So for that, I'm going to use 150 grams of dark chocolate chips and 150 grams of heavy cream. Now we're basically just going to heat up our cream on the stove until it's boiling, and then we're just going to pour it over our chocolate chips and give that a whisk until we have a super creamy, smooth chocolate ganache. I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes or so to make sure that all the chocolate gets nice and ooey and gooey before I whisk this together once to a nice smooth ganache. All that's left to do is carefully dip our cream puffs into our melted ganache, and then if you so choose, you can sprinkle on some freeze-dried raspberries as well, or decorate in any other way that you so choose. This is gonna be messy.
Oh, you miss my touching, you do. Show me something, give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. We've been dancing all night long, right here with you way too long. Don't want nothing here or now, but I'm done waiting, done wasting my time. Got this sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say less to me. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way.
Okay, which one do you want to try? They're all the same, but
I want to try a heart one because it's bigger. You gonna try one at the same time?
and be able to a small one. Okay, cheers.
Mmm. It would be really good if they're frozen.
Frozen?
Try these, yeah. Seems like different.
They're actually really good.
Mm-hmm. I like the raspberry flavor. It's not like too strong.
It goes good with all the chocolate in it.
Who's gonna eat all these?
Me.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And there you have it, our chocolate raspberry cream puffs that are perfect for Valentine's Day. So that's going to be everything for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up or write me a comment down below. And as always, the whole recipe is going to be in the description box as well.